Hey guys, welcome back to DailyWeeklyBuilds. Now, not too long ago, I built and reviewed the Toy Story 3 Western Train Chase set. I think it's set number 7597. And kind of throughout that review, I expressed my distaste towards it, to say the least. I liked most of it, but I really didn't like the actual locomotive engine itself. And as I mentioned in that video, I'm going to be working on it and just kind of redoing it and making it better. And I've done just that. But then I got a little bit carried away and I thought the rest of the carriages could do with an upgrade anyway. Since they were all kind of out of scale with regular minifigures, I thought, yeah, I'll make them smaller. Or not as tall. And I thought, maybe I can just make them better anyway. So I'll be doing that, but kind of keeping in with their original design, but also improving on them as well. And that train was famously missing something, a tender. And I built one of my own, a custom one, and I'm really happy with how it's turned out. So I'll be showing you all of that throughout this video, so hope you enjoy. Now I did kind of want to take you along this journey a bit more, like each time I made something I'll kind of, film as I go, but I was just getting so into it that I forgot to film as I went. I took a couple of pictures, but most of it I've just kind of been really enjoying it and getting on with it, which I guess is a good thing because I've been too busy working on it to stop and take a little quick clip. But here's the rest of it that I haven't done yet. And you may have seen my Bricklink haul already, but another one has just arrived with plenty more parts to help me with some of these train stuff and some other buildings for my Wild West layout, so there'll be videos on those as well. So these are the original 3 carriages for that Toy Story 3 train. And I've kind of, started changing things before. So yeah, that's why the passenger car here doesn't have a floor or couplets, because I've taken them for something else, which you'll see momentarily. But I'm going to be working on this one, so I'm going to make it a bit shorter and longer as well. Same with the kind of, the cargo wagon, I guess. Just going to make it kind of the standard 24 studs long for the train carriages. And then the caboose here, it's just nice. I think I'll just make this a little bit shorter, but otherwise it's pretty much going to stay the same for now. I know the one from the film is a bit longer, and I was thinking about making it, more accurate to the film, but for now, I think I might just leave it as it is, pretty much. And to give you an idea of how long these new carriages are going to be, here is a custom one I built a long time ago, inspired by a carriage from the Emerald Knight, just to give you an idea of this is how big that is going to be. Obviously, it's still going to have, it's still going to have green windows, it's still going to look like this, it'll just be this size instead. And if it's any clues, here's some of the parts I'm going to use to make the passenger car bigger. But here are the parts that are from the engine, the locomotive itself. Yeah, I've pretty much built that from the ground up. I mean, some of it is still the same, but some of it is a little bit different. And here it is. Oh yes, it is not as tall. It's still the same length pretty much, maybe like a plate too small, because you see this, because this gap here, I still need to get a plate to go in there, but let me talk you through what I've done. So I think the easiest way to kind of begin telling you what I've done to improve the engine is by showing you the parts from the original set which I removed. So we've got the roof, part of the kind of the main cabin, the boiler, a bit of the smokestack, the lantern, some of the floor, the interior design, where the wheels were located or how they were attached, and then just all these green bits, because as I said, the green just had to go. There was too much. It was red, black, yellow, and green. Oh, that just really bothered me. And there wasn't even any green in the original design on the real train from the film, so I don't know why they got that in there. So the green was the first thing to go. I then wanted to make the kind of whole train a bit shorter, because again, it's out of scale with regular minifigures, as I demonstrated. So I had to take off the bricks from the roof, and it was still too tall, and the green had to go anyway, so that was kind of perfect. This whole kind of middle section that was holding up the windows for the main cab, and this, I don't know what that was meant to represent, maybe a whistle or something, or just part of the boiler. I'm not a train expert, so that all had to go. And then in the process, the original interior design, I thought, well, that's pretty rubbish, so I took that out and came up with something a bit better, I think. The boiler was the last thing that I removed, because I was kind of happy, I think I took some pictures, with how my new version of the train looked with the original boiler. It looked fine, but then I wanted to go a bit more, I don't know, custom with it, so I took that out. Same with the smokestack. I was fine with it, with that being on there, but I swapped out for a different part. And then the lantern, again, that's part of this the smokestack, so I had to take that out just a little bit to make it a bit shorter. But also the whole lantern was just really big, and what I've come up with is smaller, but I just think it looks so much better. And all these green were kind of above the wheels on the front, so that had to go as well. The brown plates and grills were underneath the rear wheels, and they were just kind of just random, you know, they were there to keep everything together, as was this black plate. And then so was this at the bottom. It served no purpose, it was just kind of there. The yellow plates here were the floor for the original cabin, but when I made it shorter, the floor was so high that you couldn't stand up a regular minifigure inside it or even sit them down. And there was still space that you could lower the floor, so I did just that, especially where I changed how the wheels worked. So yeah, and now that the rear wheels are no longer the floating ones, I didn't need that. So now let's take a look at the train again, and I'll talk through where these parts are and what I've swapped them out for. So as you can see, I've still kept the original wheels. The cow catcher is still there at the front, that's still the same. The windows, I put some glass in them now, but they're still the same windows because I liked them and they were red. They were kind of matched up to the original design. The roof had to go because this train had a red roof, but the one that it was based on had a black roof, so I swapped that out for black. And I've just kind of added some of my own little added details just kind of as I went. The original source material has kind of more of these yellow, or I suppose gold stripes going across the boiler. I couldn't get them on this bit without changing this completely, so I left it off there, but I did put them on the front. But now I'm thinking, there's kind of, you know, a big gap between the yellow stripes here and there's a lot here, so I might swap these out or just kind of space them out a bit more. This thing is still from the original set, that's still there. And then yeah, I swapped out all the green cheese wedges off the wheels here because yeah, they just didn't look great. So I still need to fill that bit in, but I've got the part coming soon for it. And the lantern that I've come up with is just, it's perfect. It's the same thing, just smaller, and that just works for me. And there's the smokestack as well. Not as tall, but it just still looks like what it's supposed to be, and I'm happy with it. And then inside I just added a bit more detail, and I thought, yeah, this looks a bit better compared to that. Because that, it's not great, it was fine, but yeah, I just thought I could add a little bit more. So the biggest change that I did to this train, apart from pretty much swapping out the whole colour scheme, was the wheels. As you can see, these wheels at the front are now the floating ones. They can turn to go around Lego's radius of track. In the original design, it was these wheels that floated and these were fixed in place. I didn't like how these were the floating ones because they were just so loose, and it made this whole underside look empty because there was nothing there. It was just the way the wheels were attached. If anything was there, they would just swing and get in the way. So that was the first thing I did, and pretty much apart from building up an entire block of plates and bricks to fill that gap in, which looks more like the source material train because it is kind of a solid black thing, I swapped out that blue Technic axle, which is a friction one, for a frictionless one, so it's still attached in the same way, it just swings a bit more freely. The only problem with this is these things, I'm no train expert, I don't know what they're called, they do get in the way a little bit of the train. Like, they just, you know, they're still from the original design. I haven't changed them, but they do kind of hit a bit if the time, I mean, I don't imagine a train's going to curve around that far, but it's just something I thought I'd mention. And even if I do put this in my little Wild West layout, that's only got a single straight way of track, so it doesn't have to worry about going around curves. So I wasn't too bothered by it. And then again, for the underside, it is pretty much completely redone, apart from how the wheels are attached. Those bits are the same. But yeah, all this black here wasn't there on the original design, so I just filled that in, and I added some more details around the back. And then I had to kind of redo the entire floor. So obviously it was that big yellow plate, and I had to kind of redo it. But it's a bit better. There's a few modified plates and tiles in there, so it's a bit more smooth. There are still spaces for a minifigure to stand. And yeah, I'm just happy with it. There's enough room for his head. You know, you can fit a couple of them in there, and yeah, it's really quite good. Again, I'm no train expert. I don't know what these things are called here, but in the original train that this is based on, they're black as well. And I did try that out, but I thought then it looks a bit too much black. I like how the colours are distributed now. Again, I even contemplated sticking with the red roof because it still looked okay, but I thought I'll just go with the black, and I'm happy with it. It's even got a little kind of bit on the top, which is similar to the original train. But yeah, I quite like it. And of course, this train needs a tender, and I've made one to go with it. Ta-da! Here it is, completely custom, inspired by just a couple of pictures I managed to find on the internet, because you don't really see it in the film, and you know, this whole train is barely seen in the film anyway, but it didn't have one in the set. And I'm really happy with how mine has turned out, completely custom. used my parts and some parts from Bricklink, and I just kind of built it up. And I believe this is supposed to be a wood burning train, so that's why there's all bits of chopped up of wood in here, not coal. But yeah, I'm just really happy of how this has turned out. Using, you know, studs on the sides and some Technic bits there, a Technic pin to get that nice and centered there. Like, you know what that represents. And all the wheels. I did think about using some smaller train wheels, like the really small ones you can get, but in the end I just went with these ones. The little ladders and the barriers as well. And yeah, I'm just really happy. And it's the same on the other side. But yeah, there we go. And it's 14 studs long, but the actual kind of, you know, well, I don't know, the box? I don't know what you'd call this bit, is 10 studs. So it's the same width as like the tender from the Lone Ranger train and the new Hogwarts Express. So I kind of use those as references. And yeah, that's why this passenger car no longer has a floor, because I used it over here. And again, apart from modifying this train to just be, well, better, I knew I wanted to build one of these, and I experimented just using parts from this set. For example, I took apart the Caboose, and I used the parts on there, just to see what sort of shapes and designs I wanted to get. And then I went through my parts and ordered some more to kind of recreate it in the black, because that's what it looks like. But yeah, there we go. So now it's time to do the same for this car and this one. Hey guys, just a quick one here. Sorry about the audio quality. It looks like this microphone here has stopped working, which is very annoying, because it just is. Hopefully it doesn't detract from the main quality of this video, and again, I'll get it fixed as soon as I can. Thank you. So, seeing as this one's already missing its couplers and a floor, I say we start with making this one a bit better. So I've got some of the parts here, and some more of them here as well. So these are all the parts I'm going to use, and I think this one's going to be pretty straightforward, because it's just mostly adding windows to it, and if anything I'll be taking bricks out of that one because it's not going to be as tall. But yeah, so I'm still waiting on a few more parts. For example, the new doors, I went for the 5 stud high ones. These are 6 studs, so hopefully they arrive tomorrow and I can add those in. But otherwise, yeah, this should be pretty straightforward. So I've organised all the parts out, and if anything I've got too much bricks. I don't know why I ordered more, because I'm taking bricks out of that carriage, and if anything I need more plates. Plenty of windows, again maybe slightly too many, but I guess that's fine. I won't be using the doors, and I've got enough parts to extend the roof. So this is going to be good. And this is what I've come up with so far, so it's just kind of the same thing but different in a way. And I wanted to go for that kind of traditional Wild West style carriage where, you know, there's a bit of a little, I don't know what you'd call that, like the open space at the front and the back there. It's got the roof which has been extended, and pretty much it's the same thing, just extended and not as tall. I still need to wait for a few more parts to arrive so I can finish building the underside for the wheels, and of course I'm still waiting on the doors, but hopefully they will arrive pretty soon. Next up, I decided to work on the the box car, or the freight wagon, whatever you want to call it, just to make it, again, a bit bigger. Although with this one, it's kind of the most different. I mean, the only thing that's similar would be the side doors. That's pretty much it. It's kind of light grey and dark grey instead of dark grey and black. But, you know, I like it. It just really works. And you could use this in, you know, in Wild West layouts, or even modern day train layouts. It's just the typical cargo thing. The roof isn't really designed to be detachable, but there's nothing in there anyway, and I probably wouldn't put anything in there because you just never see it. Although you can take off the roof of the passenger car here, but I still need to add an interior to that. But same story, still waiting on a few more parts to arrive so I can finish building the wheels. So that only leaves one thing left, and that is the caboose here. So it's about time to give it a little change, but as I said, I'm mostly going to keep it as it is for now, apart from just make it not as tall, and I think that'll be pretty much it. This is something I keep forgetting to do for these, but here it is before, as you can see, using the taller doors, and that's what it looks like. That's how tall it is on the side, and it's just the same on the other side. So now, let's see the after. And here is the caboose after. I've flattened the roof and obviously made it a bit lower, but that's pretty much it. Obviously, I put in this yellow stripe. I took off the yellow kind of handles because I didn't have enough of the modified bricks with the clips on it. Obviously, I couldn't use the ones before because they were too tall, but I didn't have any of the others at the moment. But for now, yeah, it kind of works. It gives me Harry Potter vibes, you know, the Hogwarts Express colour scheme. But yeah, I'm happy with it, and it's got the new train doors on it as well, just that shorter height, and it just looks better, I think. So the rest of the parts for the wheels arrived, and of course now I've got the doors for the passenger carriage. So that's looking pretty complete with some steps going up to it. It doesn't have an interior yet, but I'll work on that later. I mean, the original set didn't have an interior either. So for me, I'm considering this done. Same for the freight car here. It's got some wheels on it now and some just under carriage details. And obviously, there we go. Looking back at the tender there, which is still one of my favorite things. And then the engine, I have those extra black plates that kind of fill in the gaps. And I did take out 2 of the yellow stripes, but now, I don't know, the yellow stripes were kind of growing on me, so I might add them back, but I swapped them back out for now. What do you guys think about this train? I'd love to know what you think. And yeah, let me know in the comments. I'll see you all in the next video when I'm working on another custom project. Maybe I'll tackle the Hogwarts Express next. Well, there we go. The train is pretty much completely different. It's the same but different. I've kind of rebuilt it from the ground up, taking some inspiration from the original model, of course, but I've very much made it my own. What do you think about this set? I'd love to know what you guys think. And hey, have you made any custom mocks like this as well? Let me know in the comments. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye for now.